On the day of Pentecost, it was at the third hour, right? So it was 9 o'clock in the morning, and a rushing mighty. Oh, you guys need. That's really trouble there. Put my shoe or something on top. Here, take my prayer too, and we'll just put the prayer up on top. So there was a rushing mighty wind that came through the room and blew through the room. Well, a symbol of the Holy Spirit is the wind, right? And then the tongues of fire, which were the light of God, right? The energies of God on top of the apostles' heads, and it was fire that did not burn, right? Because it was not terrestrial fire, it was the energy of God, the light of God. And then they were enlightened. And when they started to speak, it's not like St. Peter spoke in 100 languages at once. He spoke in his language. But his language was then interpreted into 100 languages, because there were people from all over the world at that point, because it was a great feast of the Jews. Pentecost was a feast of the Jews, one of the 3 great feasts. And they heard him in their language. This gift has been present even up until this age. Now, the Pentecostals have kind of made a hash of it. To them, the gift of tongues is that they speak in a foreign language that they don't even understand. And often there is no interpretation whatsoever, right? They're just saying stuff. And that's not the gift of tongues. That's a sort of a cultic kind of thing. The gift of tongues is, I speak in English and you hear it in, I don't know, Swahili or in Arabic or whatever else, or in French. That actually happened with St. Paisios and others as well. So that's the gift of tongues, to speak in your own language and they hear it. And St. Paisios, he had people come up all the time to his ski or his cell, and there was a Frenchman that came up. He didn't speak a lick of Greek. St. Paisios didn't speak a lick of French. They went away he would go and have some, under a tree, have some logs that you'd sit on, stumps. And they had a 3-hour conversation where they perfectly understood each other. That's the gift of tongues. That happens. That happens even now, in this age. It's not an ecstatic prayer language.
Now, was the guy that he was talking to aware that St. Paisios wasn't speaking his language?
I don't know. I don't know that answer.
It was like a Buddhist monk.
No, it was just a French layman.
Oh.
Yeah.
Did it a lot of times.
He did it many. I mean, he had the gift many times. St. Porphyrius had it. So many modern day saints have had that gift where they would speak in their own language, or they'd understand someone else's language, right? And that can happen. So
I heard that like he would speak Greek and the other person would understand it in French, and he would speak French and St. Paisios would understand it in Greek.
exactly.
Basically.
Exactly. Now, I guess probably in the beginning, maybe by sign language or by broken Greek, the Frenchman says, "I don't speak any Greek." And then St. Paisios says, "I don't speak any French. Let's go talk." So that's the gift of tongues. And it's sort of like the opposite of the Tower of Babel, isn't it, right? The Tower of Babel was people, what was the whole point of the Tower of Babel? What were the people trying to do? What? Get to heaven. Live without God. Live without God. Right? So like they were trying to create a gigantic computer. It would be this gigantic AI computer. Oh, what's later? But that's about, basically people are trying to live without God now, right? This whole humanism has been an attempt to live without God now for all these years. Hasn't worked out too well, has it? And it never will work out too well. But the original attempt to be a humanist, to say we are our own God, didn't work out at all. So as they're building this tower, God says this is not good, so he's going to scatter their languages. Everybody spoke the same language. All of a sudden, a bunch of people could speak only one language, another bunch could speak only another language. They couldn't communicate with each other, so they kind of scattered all over the earth. But it was an attempt to live without God. And to this day now, we have people trying to live without God. Pretty much modern Western society is a Tower of Babel, is what it is. And maybe eventually God's going to cause that Tower of Babel to come crashing down. But Pentecost is the opposite of the Tower of Babel. It's taking people understanding, no matter what the language, understanding the truth. One language spoken out to many instead of one language being dispersed into many that nobody can understand each other. So Pentecost is the anti Tower of Babel.